Oil is up 28%. Not gradually, not slowly creeping up over months while economists debate whether to worry. 28% in a short window, and the reason is sitting right there in the headlines. The conflict involving Iran has sent shockwaves through the global energy market, and whether you follow geopolitics or not, this one is going to find you at the gas pump, at the grocery store, on your heating bill, in your monthly budget. And if you are not paying attention right now, you are going to feel this in your wallet before you even realize what happened. So let us talk about what is actually going on, why it matters for your money specifically, and more importantly, what you should be doing right now before prices get worse. Because they very likely will. Here is the reality. On the Middle East has always been a pressure point for global oil prices. When tension rises in that region, markets react immediately, sometimes before a single barrel of oil is even affected. That is just how energy markets work. They price in fear, they price in risk, they price in the possibility of supply disruption before the disruption actually happens. And right now, with Iran directly involved in an active conflict, the market is pricing in a lot of fear. The Strait of Hormuz, which sits right at the edge of Iranian territorial waters, handles roughly 20% of the world's oil supply on any given day. When that corridor feels threatened, the entire global energy system holds its breath. Prices go up. Fast. That is exactly what we are seeing, and here's the part that hits home. When oil goes up, everything goes up. And oil is not just what goes in your gas tank. It is in the cost of shipping every product you buy. It is in the manufacturing of plastics, packaging, fertilizer. It is baked into the price of your groceries, your Amazon orders, your restaurant meals. When oil spikes like this, inflation does not stay contained to one category. It bleeds into everything. And if you were already frustrated with how far your paycheck was stretching before this started, what is coming next is going to make that even harder. So what do you actually do? Because complaining about geopolitics is not a financial strategy. Here is what smart, practical money management looks like right now in this exact moment. There are 5 concrete moves you should be making before this gets worse. The first thing you need to do is lock in your energy costs wherever you are able to. If you heat your home with oil or propane, call your supplier now and ask about a fixed rate or budget plan for the upcoming season. Many suppliers offer this, and most people never ask. You are essentially paying a set price, regardless of what the market does between now and spring. That kind of certainty is worth a lot when prices are this volatile. If you drive a lot and your area has gas stations that offer loyalty programs or prepaid fuel cards, now is the time to look at those seriously. Every dollar you can lock in before the next price jump is a dollar you keep. It is not glamorous advice, but it is real. The second move is to audit your variable expenses right now, today, this week, before another price increase hits. And the problem most people have is they wait until they are already stressed to look at their budget. By then, the damage is done. Inflation from an oil spike works like a slow flood. It starts at the edges, gas and utilities, and then it moves inward toward food, services, and everything else. Get ahead of it. Go through your last 30 days of spending and identify what is discretionary and what is essential. Not to punish yourself, but to understand where you have flex room if you need it. Because in a rising price environment, having clarity about your budget gives you options. Not having that clarity means you are reacting instead of deciding. The third thing you should seriously consider is building or reinforcing your short-term cash buffer right now. This is not the time to have every dollar deployed into long-term investments with nothing liquid sitting underneath you. A period like this, where energy prices are climbing and inflation risk is real, is exactly the situation an emergency fund exists for. If yours is thin or non-existent, make it a priority to add to it over the next 30 to 60 days. Even a few $100s sitting in a high-yield savings account gives you a cushion if your gas bill spikes or your grocery budget blows up. The goal is not to panic. The goal is to make sure a bad month does not turn into a financial crisis. The fourth move involves where you are putting your money, and this one is worth thinking through carefully. Historically, when oil prices rise sharply due to geopolitical conflict, certain sectors of the market tend to benefit. Energy companies, obviously, but also commodities-related businesses and, in some cases, infrastructure. This does not mean you should abandon your investment strategy or go chase whatever looks hot right now. That is almost always a mistake. But if you have been meaning to rebalance your portfolio, or if your investments are very heavily weighted towards sectors that get hurt by rising input costs, like consumer discretionary or high growth tech, this is a smart time to review that allocation. Talk to a financial advisor if you have access to one. Or at minimum, take an honest look at whether your current investment mix makes sense given what is happening in the world right now. The fifth and final move is to stop sleeping on your income side. This is where most people leave the most money on the table. When external costs rise, most people only think about cutting. But the faster and more powerful move is almost always to increase what is coming in. Are there ways to add hours, take on freelance work, sell something, pick up a short-term gig? Even a temporary boost to your income for the next 2 or 3 months could make the difference between this oil spike being a minor inconvenience and a genuine financial setback. The people who come out ahead during inflationary periods are not always the ones who had the most money to start. They are often the ones who responded fastest and stayed flexible. Now, some of you are probably wondering whether this oil spike is going to last or whether things will settle down. And the honest answer is nobody knows for certain. Conflicts in the Middle East have historically caused sharp oil spikes that eventually correct. But they have also sometimes led to prolonged periods of elevated energy costs. The difference usually comes down to how wide the conflict spreads, how much actual supply gets disrupted, and how other major oil-producing nations respond. Right now, all of those variables are in motion, which means you should not assume this resolves quickly. Plan for it to last. If it resolves sooner, great, you made smart financial moves for no cost. If it does not resolve quickly, you are protected. And here's the broader thing I want you to take away from this. Moments like this expose the gap between people who have financial cushion and people who do not. When prices are stable, that gap is invisible. Nobody notices it. But when oil jumps 28%, when grocery bills climb, when utility costs surge, that gap becomes very visible very fast. The people with savings have options. The people without savings have stress. That is not a judgment. That is just math. And the good news is that every single one of the moves we just talked about is something you can start on this week. Not next month. Not when things calm down. This week. Lock in your energy costs, audit your variable spending, strengthen your cash buffer, review your investment allocation, and look at ways to increase your income. 5 moves, all of them practical, all of them relevant specifically to this moment. Not generic advice. Advice that exists because oil is up 28% due to an active geopolitical conflict and your money is going to feel it whether you are ready or not. The smartest thing you can do right now is not panic, but it is also not ignore this. It is to act deliberately and protect your financial position before the next wave of price increases hits. If this kind of real-world money content is useful to you, do me a favor and subscribe. We cover exactly this stuff here, what is actually happening in the economy and what it means for your wallet in plain language you can act on. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and we will keep breaking it down together.